Hi, this is Rob from DMEalmanac.com with This Week in Dave Matthews Band History. This week in 1995, DMB wrapped up their spring tour in California and Arizona. On May 10th, they played a noon set at Yoshi's Night Spot in Oakland that was broadcast on KFOG FM. And the 60-minute tape is mandatory listening as the band played a rare full-band acoustic set that included the first Don't Burn the Pig and ended with the benchmark performance of number 40. That night, they played the second of two nights at the Warfield Theater in San Francisco, where they played Don't Burn the Pig again, and that show is released in the DMB Live series. You can find all the radio shows and DMB Live releases at DMBAlmanac.com, and follow us on Facebook and Threads to get daily updates with everything that happened that day in the band's history.
Have you ever stopped to think about the fans behind a band? What is it about the music that keeps fans coming back for more? Or is there more? My name is Renae Lipsmeyer, and I am the host of this podcast, The Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about the fans of the Dave Matthews Band. Each week, a fellow DMB fan joins the show to discuss their journey with the band. Welcome to The Space Between Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Space Between Podcast, the podcast where we talk about a band that was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2024. If you've never listened to this podcast before, we just talk about that one band, and that one band is the Dave Matthews Band. So for over 30 years, this band has been making music, traveling, and honestly, changing lives. And that might sound crazy to you to hear that, but I have over 150 documented testimonies telling me how that is right. So you've got to listen to some more if this is your first one. Over 150 people have come on the show to talk about just in what small way or huge way this music has impacted their life. And so, you know, it's a great story. We are all hearing bad news and bad news and bad news, and we're just surrounded by terrible things all of the time. But yet there are still wonderful things happening every single day. And so I hope to shed a little bit of light on this beautiful subject that has to do with my favorite band, the Dave Matthews Band. So this episode is like every episode. I have not one, but two guests on the show today. And that's always fun because even though they're together, they've had different paths on how they found the band. And then how did they cross each other's paths? And what does that look like since then? So guys, tell the listeners who you are. Where in the world are you? And then tell us something about yourself.
Well, as everyone listening may or may not know, my name is Greg DeSena. I'm here with my wife, Amanda. My first time ever hearing Dave Matthews Band was in, I guess, 1994 when, what would you say, debuted on MTV?
Yeah.
World premiere video from a new band called Dave Matthews Band. And it just kind of went from there. At the time, I was into all that, jam band sort of stuff like Grateful Dead and Fish. And I used to follow Fish around. I saw them about 25 times. I saw Dave Matthews for the first time at Gunda Arena in Cleveland in 1996.
It's no longer there, I heard.
It's a different name. And it's totally redone. You wouldn't recognize it. But the structure, I guess, is still the same place, but they put a whole big glass enclosure around it that you saw when, we were at the Hall of Fame induction and all that. But yeah, it's been there since Richfield Coliseum, which was probably in the late 80s that Richfield shut down and they opened up Gunda Arena. So yeah, probably 94 or 95. That was the same year that we met. Let's see. We met that summer, 1996 as well, and we dated for about 6 months. Our first show together was at Polaris Amphitheater in the Columbus area, which that one is no longer there. From there, we split up for a little while, got back together in 2008. We've been, listening to Dave Matthews Band. I remember some of our very first dates, we were listening to the Dave and Tim Radio City Music Hall CD together a lot at that time. It was not too long after it first came out. And we've just been going from there. I can let Amanda start her story.
Amanda, tell us a little bit about who you are. And then we're going to dig deeper into these stories. I have so many questions to ask you. So Amanda, other than Amanda, we now know who you are. Tell us some things that you like. What keeps you busy?
So I am a pseudo wife and mother. I also work full time. I'm the retail director downtown at Great Lakes Science Center, which is actually right next door to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We both obviously live in Cleveland, Ohio. My first time being exposed to Dave Matthews, I remember the moment very vividly. I was 14 years old. I was obviously still living at home. And I was in my mom's backyard, laying out in the sun. It was springtime, summertime maybe. And What Would You Say came on the radio. And I just remember like thinking to myself, the same as Greg, like I was into like Grateful Dead. You know, I hung out with all the deadhead hippie kids at school. So I was getting into Fish. Acoustic hookah, which is kind of more Ohio based, was a big thing for us back then. So I was into all that kind of like jam band music. Yeah. And this kind of, to me, like encompassed that, but it was different. To me, everything was so vibrant about that song and about the music itself. And I just remember I was like immediately pulled in. And I remember turning up the radio because it was so good. And, you know, Greg and I met, like he said, 96. We met at a pool hall, kind of love at first sight, if you will. Yeah, that's and, you know, like he said, our first like official date was, you know, Polaris Amphitheater show. And that was the first time I was seeing the band live. And I remember hearing Satellite. I remember hearing Two Step. And to this day, people will ask me what my favorite song is. And it, you know, I think just like all of us, right? There's different songs at different times that really speak to us. Two Step will forever and always remain like my tried and true favorite. Like that's my definite answer no matter what. But I just remember like twirling on the lawn to Satellite, you know, like those real soft pieces in that song. And I've just been completely blown away ever since. So that's kind of our time to get like our paths crossing.
Yeah. I want to hold just 1 second. Sure. And each of you are probably going to have a different answer, but it's probably going to be a lot of the same. What was it that initially drew you into the sound that they were making? Like why the Dave Matthews Band? Like, I mean, I know you were listening to jam band stuff, and while they are a jam band, they do sound different, just like you said. So what was it about the different that made you listen more to them?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, Boyd Tinsley and the violin.
Yeah.
So that was really what made it very different to me.
Yeah.
Also, just the splashiness of the horn section. It was so vibrant. It was so full of joy and it was so different. But like I really grooved to the fiddle pieces. And in fact, fun fact about me, that was when I picked up playing violin.
No way.
Because I was like, I want to play violin like him. Now, did that ever happen? No. But
too bad, right?
That he really inspired me. And that was really what turned me on personally to
Boyd Tinsley. I mean, that's not a bad answer. That's a great answer. And that's a lot of people's answer is stuck out because how many bands in the early 90s pulled out a violin?
Exactly.
None, right? None, really. Right. And so it made them stick out. And that was just one tiny piece of them, but it did stick out. Greg, what was it about the band that made you listen a little bit longer to them?
Oh, well, I mean, I think was part of it too. And, you know, going further beyond Boyd Tinsley, the saxophone. I mean, you didn't see a lot of saxophone in pop music, you know. Yeah. I had played clarinet in high school, so I had some, you know, relation to the saxophone, even though the only time I ever tried to put a saxophone in my mouth, it wasn't pretty.
It's a woodwind. It's in the family of clarinets.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't know that. They want to call it the brass, but I'm like, technically a saxophone is a woodwind.
Exactly. Right. And, you know, around that time, I also played the bass guitar and the guitar, and I had an acoustic guitar. So even the banjo, which that wasn't really in Dave Matthews at the time, but, you know, we see Bella Fleck every once in a while.
Right.
But yeah, I was always into music. And I mean, beyond the jam bands, I was always into Pink Floyd and the Beatles and things like that. And I felt like they were one of the few at that time who really had eclectic instrumentation.
Yeah. Just so completely different. And sometimes just that is what sticks out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh shit, I've never heard anything like that. And often you'll hear about people that are looking for new music, like the Scouts. And that's exactly what they're looking for, is a sound that they haven't heard, because we're not looking for sounds we already have, right? We're looking for that one that is maybe just a little slightly off or way off. And, in the early 90s, I would say that the Dave Matthews Band was under the classification of way off, right? As far as like what everybody else was doing, because it was such a grungy time. I mean, when anyone names off these bands and what that was kind of like, the grunge always comes first. And that's not a bad thing. Those were beautiful times in music. And I wish we would have had longer with those bands. But the Dave Matthews Band really did stick out in that time, but it continues, even through the 2000s, the early 2000s and 2010s, and now the 2020s, it's continuing to stick out because no one has really matched what it is that they are doing. Whatever it is that the recipe is of the Dave Matthews Band, like no one else has those ingredients.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of like Dave said, like a brand new noise. Like he made a brand new noise,
brand new noise. Yeah. And that's what it's been for so many people. But then, of course, we get, that's what brings us all to the table. The music. That was what's got us there. And then, we do go to our first concert and we experience and we fall in love with the band even more, because it is such a different experience to see them live than versus, just recorded or on YouTube. Well, so people, I look for things that sound different. And again, the Dave Matthews Band has always kind of filled that bill as far as like always being different. And it amazes me truly to this day in 2025. Now we've had plus 30 years with this band, plus 30 years with their name being out there, plus 30 years of them just being out and touring all over the world. And yet there are so many people out there, and I know you know this too, there are so many people out there that have never heard of them, are surprised that they are still touring. And I'm like, dude, they never stopped.
Right.
Remember in the 90s when you were college? Because that's what they're all saying is, yeah, I remember them from like when I was young. Dude, they never stopped. Ever. They're still doing this. Does that blow you away, that part of it, just like the longevity of this band?
Yeah, because you think about like other bands too, like Grateful Dead and Fish, and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I think like if a band makes its roots deep enough and they're a good band and they care about their fans, just like Dave does, just like the band does, that is what feeds them. Is just continuing to tour and tour and tour. And that's, I think, for me, how I know they really, truly enjoy what they do.
They do.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that really, like you said, it has helped them to last a long time. And if you're listening to this and you're kind of unfamiliar with the culture, and I'm going to use that word because there is a culture around the Dave Matthews Band. It is more than the music. We all find the music and then we come together and we find the people that are going to the shows. And I won't say it's 100% across the board because there are assholes everywhere, but for the most part, I would say it's a good 90-something% that everybody that's at a Dave Matthews Band concert is really just into the music, into the groove, into the vibe that is created there. And you're just there to like kind of absorb the music, but also absorb like the people, because everyone is so friendly and wants you to love the band as much as they do and tell you everything they know and share their experiences. Tell me about the first time that you really kind of started understanding that there were people that traveled everywhere to see this band. Like, because to me, like when I first heard that, I'll never forget. I heard of a friend that lived in Arkansas and that was going to Arizona to see the Dave Matthews Band. And I remember that moment in my brain thinking, that's fucking crazy. Like, why would you spend all of that money? Just wait till they come here. But that was before I knew, right? That was before I knew what I know now. What were your thoughts when you started going, hey, people see them? Was it automatically like, we should do that? Or were you like, tell me about that side of it?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know really when I came to that particular realization. I mean, as we discussed, I did that a lot with Fish already in my teens and things like that. So, and I was a huge Grateful Dead fan. I was a little too young to really see them. I think I saw them twice, 93 and 94.
Awesome.
But, I knew that was out there. I mean, to me, and if I'm really honest, like to me, Dave Matthews Band was kind of like a once a year thing. Like if they came near us, I'd go. I certainly didn't miss many shows in the Cleveland area or in the state for that matter.
Right.
But, kind of like we were talking about a little while ago, it was really, I don't know, it's hard to say. Within the last 7 or 8 years that we started going to multiple shows and going to multiple shows in a row and things like that. So I guess it's hard to say if I ever came to that realization or if it was just something I came to kind of understand from my own experiences, knowing that there are people who follow bands around, and I knew people who went to hundreds of this show and hundreds of that show. And a good friend of ours has seen Fish more times than he can count. I kind of got tired of Fish, but we're not here to talk about them. We started, seeing like, oh, well, pretty much anything within a 500-mile radius is fair game for us, and sometimes even farther, as you know.
Wow.
But, anytime we look at Summer Tour, and anything within a radius from us, the state of Virginia, and all the way around is really potentially on the table.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is David from the Dave Matthews Tribute Band, also known as the DMTB. We are stoked to take our Keep Me Floating tour down south this May for shows in Alabama, Florida, and throughout the Carolinas. And we're going to be featuring a very special guest at our show May 17th in St. Petersburg, Florida at the Floridian Social Club. None other than your podcast host, Renae Lipsmeyer. So if you're in the Florida area and the west coast of Florida on the Gulf, come jam with us, come hang out with Renae and the DMTB, and we'll see you on the road.
You guys live in a great state. Ohio has a lot of Dave Matthews Band fans. You guys are saturated. And thankfully, the band plays in the area every year, right? So you guys are lucky in knowing that you're going to get that, because there's a lot of states where it's questionable if they ever will or will they again, And so you guys are super, super lucky on that part of it. Have you guys gotten connected as far as in the fan base? Because we know that the fan base around the Dave Matthews Band is a large one, but they take care of their own, right? And they bring people in. And then that's kind of a positive side of the band is the community. And often it'll kind of flip on you where people don't know if they're going to the show for the music or for the people, because it's so tied really closely. Have you guys gotten connected with that side of the band?
Yeah, we both have.
Yeah.
I can speak for us both. We've made a host of friends as a result of loving this band for so long and so hard. Honestly, I was actually, ironically, just thinking of this the other day. I'm like, I now honestly have more Dave Matthews friends. Now, while they're not all very close in proximity to me, like we've got friends, obviously, a DMB Ohio family down in Columbus. And, I've made a couple of friends that are in like the Akron Canton area. And then we're kind of like scattered throughout. We've got friends near Deer Creek. That is a big, huge part of it. In fact, my girlfriend and I, Nikki, her name is Nikki, we started, so it was the year that Greg got sick with his kidney failure. And we had tickets to Awesome, Deer Creek, SPAC. We had all these tickets and he was too sick to go. He was very new on dialysis. And so he still wanted me to try to enjoy. And, he was doing dialysis 3 days a week at a center, and that makes it really hard to travel.
Sure.
So I brought my mom to Deer Creek with me, and it was her time, or like her first time, like experiencing Dave Matthews Band, especially like in a new place that was in Ohio.
Right.
And just being there for the entire Creek End weekend. And then my girlfriend Nikki and I went to SPAC together. And we met our friends Heather and Adam, who live up in New Hampshire. And they were like, hey, you guys should come to Guilford next year. So this year will be our third annual girls trip to Guilford. And now we have a whole bunch of friends up in New Hampshire as a result. It is one of the things that keeps us coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I do, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, oh my God, I think I have more Dave friends now than I have normal,
definitely,
just Ohio friends.
This is way easier to make Dave friends than it is to make
for sure. 100%.
Because all you got to do is be like, I love the Dave Matthews Band. Well, I do too. That's all I need to know about you. Because I got thousands of things to tell you. And you probably don't want to hear all the things I have to tell you. I have so many things I would want to share with you.
Right. Exactly.
But that's why this podcast exists, is because we know that Dave Matthews Band fans love to talk to other Dave Matthews Band fans. And they love to hear the stories of how everyone ended up in the same place, but different ways.
Absolutely.
It's just part of the fun. The culture around the band was, for me, very unexpected. I wasn't necessarily looking for a tribe of people when I started going to the shows. I was there for the music, of course, and I loved it, and it was wonderful. And I know where it changed. Obviously, Facebook can change some things and open you up to like even just knowing like people do things. And there was just happened to be like a pre-show meetup type thing. And I was like, well, I mean, we've got some time. Why not go? Like, if it's a bunch of weird people, cool. Like, it's a restaurant, it's a bar, we can just chill. But we went to our very first meetup, and the people that we met, hand to God, I am still friends with every single one of them. They were just so easy to talk to, and we had nothing in common at that moment other than we were there to see the Dave Matthews Band. And they have just been some of the best friends. And I'm so thankful for the community that, again, I wasn't expecting. It's just been such a pleasant surprise as like a bonus to the music. You also get a family that like continues to grow. It's really, really good. So let's break up the story a little bit with a little bit of fun. We're going to come back to your story, but I thought it would be fun to do some trivia. Now, trivia sometimes makes people feel a little nervous because they're like, well, I don't know. What if I don't? And the pressure, right? The pressure of the podcast is a thing. So here's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to read some questions, and we'll start just like level 0 and we'll move our way up. Awesome. So obviously people are listening to this or watching this on the YouTube channel. So when I ask a question, I'll ask it twice. If you know the answer right away, just kind of hold on to it for a minute and give the listeners some time to think about it. After the second time I've read it, if you know the answer, go ahead and answer it. And if not, we'll learn something together today. So let's see here. Put your thinking caps on.
The Beatles, the private one. Dang, that's enough.
Okay, here we go. Question 1. This is one of my very favorite questions because it just is, and it will stump you too. So here we go. What song? I'm gonna name 2 songs. One of these songs has been played live, meaning on stage, more than the other one. Now there's a long history when it comes to the Dave Matthews Band and what they have sang and what they have not sang live, because there are definitely those songs out there that you've never heard of and they've sang like once. So it's a tricky thing to come up with these things. So here are the 2 songs. Come On, Come On.
Okay.
And the second one being Blue Water Baboon Farm. Now, out of those 2 options, which one do you think has been played more live on stage?
Come On, Come On.
Greg, do you agree? Or is it, I just wanted to, both? You're both going to play.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, I totally forgot to wait. No,
that's fine. That's fine. I feel like this one came through really good and smooth, and it was a short question. So what song had been played more live? Come On, Come On, which was part of their 2018 album, beautiful song, love it, they don't sing it enough, or Blue Water Baboon Farm. So the answer is, and this trivia book was made around 2020, so the statistics might not be exactly the same anymore. But as of 2020, Blue Water Baboon Farm had been played more than Come On, Come On. But again, Come On, Come On did not come out until 2018. So it just hasn't had the time that this other one did. But Blue Water Baboon Farm has, I think, gone on to be called something else. And I don't remember which one it is. But if you type that in, you will see it on YouTube or whatever. I can't remember what they changed the name to or what it started out to be. But there's some homework for you guys. Look up Blue Water Baboon Farm, Dave Matthews Band, and you're just going to be like, what the fuck? How did I not know? Amazing. Okay. Question 2. This is a hard one. I don't expect anyone to get it. So if you get it, you are like the ultimate fan. What band was Carter playing in before the Dave Matthews Band? He played in it from 1984 to 1990. So one more time, there was a band that Carter is the drummer for the Dave Matthews Band. He was playing in another band from 1984 to 1990 before he was in the Dave Matthews Band. Do you know the name of that band? Hey, you know what? This is going to be easy for you to remember later on. because most people don't know the name of this. And I like to say that they've kept it so quiet. They've just kept it really quiet. And the name of that band was Secrets. It's almost like a secret. No one knows about it. So from 1984 to 1990, Carter Beauford played in a band called Secrets. And so you can actually look that up online and look into that work that he did for the Dave Matthews Band. So that'll be some cool stuff for you to look at too. Absolutely. Just always like what made these guys what they are, back in 91 or 92 or where they are now. Those are the things that kind of helped shape them. All right, let's do something that's not so crazy. That one was crazy, but I like to pull it out because no one knows. And I'm like, yeah, we got to do it. We got to be teaching about the band. Okay, let's see. Okay, guys, question number 3. What song is this? I'm going to give you some song lyrics. I'm not going to sing them because that does make it easier. And I want to make it easy on you, but also my voice is not a singing voice. So what song is this? I'm going to read this set of lyrics to you twice, and then you see if you can name the song. Needle to the vein, take this needle from my vein, my friend. Okay, one more time. Needle to the vein, take this needle from my vein, my friend.
Rhyme and reason.
Got it. He sings it so like needle to the vein, needle. I was like, there's no way I can sing it like Dave or even try. But he's kind of into that when he says that. I love Rhyme and Reason. Such a great song.
I do too. It reminds me a lot of active addiction for me. Like my head won't leave my head alone.
Yes.
So that one strikes deep for me. So that's a definite favorite of mine.
I'm glad I picked that question. Let's do one more and then we'll jump back into your story. Actually, let me tell you a little story, random sidetrack story. So I was talking to a friend of mine that actually got to meet Dave Matthews. Let's see, when was it? It would have been, I don't know, sometime in the last couple of years. And he just recently told me about it because he said that he asked a question to Dave that I guess I had never thought of, but I have thought of it. He said, Dave, why do you not sing Mother, Father more often? I love that question because I love that song. Mm-hmm. I love what the song says. And he said that Dave's immediate response back to him was, it's too hard to sing. Like, not too hard to sing, but it's too hard, like mentally on him to sing that song. And I just thought that was so interesting, but also I can see that with that song, Yeah. I can see that with that song. All just the little back stuff on that. I have a million questions for Dave, but I always say if I would ask him a question, it would not be about the Dave Matthews Band. So I need everyone else to ask the Dave Matthews Band questions. Okay, one last question, and then jump into your story. Perfect question. Which member of the Dave Matthews Band appeared in a Twix commercial? Twix being the candy bar. So again, which member of the Dave Matthews Band appeared in a Twix commercial? And you will actually be able to Google this one later and watch it. I think everyone should because I was pleasantly surprised, but also not surprised. Who do you think would have done a Twix commercial?
Do you want to give a guess?
You go ahead. I have no clue.
Like something tells me that it's either Leroy or Boyd. I don't know why. I'm going to go with...
Wow. One of those answers is correct. It's Boyd. Yeah, he totally did. So next time you're on your computer, just type in Boyd Tinsley Twix commercial. And he's not in the very first second of it, but watch it and you will see him. It's just like a fun little commercial. Probably made $10,000 making a Twix commercial. I say yay. Do all of it. Yeah.
Do you know what year?
Do what? I don't. But I promise you won't have any problems finding it because I didn't believe it myself and I Googled it. Okay. It's I'm going to have to see that to believe that. It's really out there. So let's jump back into your story. Part of what I do here on the Space Between podcast is, obviously I'm bringing on fans of the Dave Matthews Band to talk about kind of the music, why they fell in love with him, why they're still listening to him after all these years. But a lot of times the stories end up sounding like the Dave Matthews Band did this for me or did this for me. It was more about what the band had done for them outside of the actual music, but in their heart or in their mind or in their soul or in a relationship. Has there been any moment in your fanhood that Dave did something for you, like emotionally?
For me, definitely. And I don't know if Greg wants to share independently, but
You don't have to share. This is your story, so whatever you want. But even emotions can be like a happy emotion, right? Like it just makes me feel good.
absolutely.
So those are some examples.
For sure. Well, for me personally, and I think for both of us, honestly, like the band and their music is honestly what has gotten me through so much of like the roller coaster of life. Dating back to when I first got clean and sober, it was their music that really kind of helped me in those early days in sobriety. When I felt like I was white knuckling it, it gave me so much hope. I remember so I'll make it quick with this. Like I had 2 years of sobriety and I relapsed. And by the grace of God, I was only out for like 8 days before I came back into sobriety and recovery. And I went back to the house. It's a recovery house here in Cleveland. It's called the Edna House. There's my little plug for the Edna House. It saved my life.
Yes.
Saving women's lives every day.
Yes.
And I went back to that house because that was a safe haven for me in, the first time I got sober. And, I just remember I was obviously a mess when I came back. And Greg had given me his little MP3 player and loaded it with all of, a lot of Dave, obviously, a lot of Dave Matthews Band and some other things. And I remember sitting my first night out on the patio and it was raining. And I remember Stay or Leave came on. And I'm going to try not to get emotional here. But I think it was like in that moment, it was like the first time that like, sharing personally here, like, as a recovering alcoholic and addict, when we're in active addiction, like our belief is that we're only hurting ourselves and we don't really understand how much we're hurting the people that love us. Mm-hmm. And, I remember sitting on that patio and Stay or Leave came on the MP3 player. And it was almost like I was hearing Greg's side of the story in that Stay or Leave. And that, like, the music, right? Like just musically, they're all geniuses and they're so good at what they do. But Dave's words, like those lyrics are really what helped me to like fully understand the absolute chaos that I had put my family through and was a turning point for me. And their music, Ray Street was kind of like, it's an anthem, I think, for a lot of us. For all different reasons, of course. Right. But like, I just remember feeling like that girl, like, how did I get in this place and how do I get out?
Yeah.
Get ready to turn up the volume. The Eddie Casino Band dropped their debut single, Eddie Casino, on YouTube last fall. And don't miss out on what's next. Lucky to Be Me drops this summer. Stay tuned on all platforms. Follow the groove and hit up their Instagram and YouTube channel now to hear the track that's got everyone talking. Go check out the Eddie Casino Band.
And then I always like to say that, my recovery song is Best of What's Around. So like, there has been so much, like, honestly, I always say, like, if I ever have, like, I'm hoping that one day I'm blessed and lucky enough to be able to meet Dave personally, because like, I think we all think like, what would we say or what would we ask?
Yeah.
And I think what would be most important for me to tell him is like, your music saved my life. Like, I need you to know that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it has been very like deeply personal for me in my recovery. Like I said, a lot of anthems, Die Trying, a lot of it has been very relevant. We'll just put it that way. And even in like Greg's and my shared journey, we've had a lot of ups and downs over the last couple of years together as a couple with stuff that, Greg has gone through health-wise. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this. So many times just, being so fearful flow of the unknown, right? Like, this is the unknown. And, drives back and forth to the hospital, just belting out lyrics at the top of my lungs, because that was how I knew how to get through those moments of fear. That's how deeply personal this music is to me. So anyway, like we've been through a lot as a couple, and, I can speak personally to just, how much this band's music has really gotten me through lows and highs in life. I don't know if you have anything to share.
Well, that's a hard act to follow. Mine is a little just more obtuse. I mean, I don't know if it's just the way I am or what it is. Like, I just enjoy music no matter what. I always have. I mean, has it done anything for me except given me great enjoyment? I guess not. I am weird. Let me preface this by saying that.
You're normal. Not everybody gets something.
Oh, no. I'm happy with the weirdness. It's like I get emotional and I cry at a baseball game just for whatever reason. Like,
great.
I get filled, and certain times it's a certain particular song, and sometimes it's hard to predict. And sometimes the same song won't make me do that.
Right.
But that moment in any given show is always something that I'd say they do for me. And sometimes there's more than one, and sometimes there's less than, it just
they
depends.
Consistently make you happy, though, because obviously you've continued to listen to them. Mm-hmm. And so there's some kind of an attraction there that you're like, I want more of that. I think that they're a very addictive band, especially when you peel those first couple of layers off and you get into the other things that come with the band. Then you're like, wow, I didn't know I was getting so much. And then it snowballs, right? Guys, you have stuff in your kitchen and it takes over your whole house, right? It's funny how it works.
Well, Dave watches me go to the bathroom. So.
Even in the bathroom, there's Dave stuff.
Yep.
And I, for me too, like I remember when I got sober and I went to my first show after getting sober, and, I'd always been into the music, right? But a lot of it, like, let's be real, a lot of it was the party for me. And I remember when I went to my first show sober, I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my gosh, like, I can actually feel the music hitting places in my soul that I never knew existed before I got sober. And that is how every show is for me. Greg will tell you, like, I don't sit through a show. I pretty much, in my a little bit older age now, I don't move quite like I used to, but I'm always moving and I'm always feeling it. And it's like a spiritual experience for me every single time. I mean, when we were in Mexico, I said, I'm chasing Dodo to Mexico. Like, I'm going to get that song because that was a huge chaser song for me. And like, thank God he recorded it, because all I could do was like scream and have tears coming down my face. And like, I was, all of that is such a spiritual experience for me, like every single time, and then the community, to your point, it just adds to it. Yeah. It makes it so much more joyful.
Yeah.
And now I just use all my vacation time from work to
me too.
It's
like a whole, and work tends to pick up on those habits. Like, I used to have a job where my boss would ask me what the Dave schedule was so she could plan her vacation around it, because she knew I would be gone when Dave was playing. And I'm like, at least you get it. But yeah, it does take over the whole life. I say, we're in 2025 now. The band's in 34 years. I say see them when you can see them now, because we're not promised 10 more years of this. I encourage people, if you've never seen them live, see them live now. They are not the 1991 band that came out. They are not that band anymore. But they are really, really solid. They are so good. I think the musicians that are in the band that have been in the band since the beginning, they've done nothing but get better. And they're so seasoned and kind of like a fine wine. Every single one of them just like gets better and better and better. And you're like, how can they keep up? How can they keep getting better? That's my question every time, is like, how do you keep one-upping yourself every year? I think there's never going to be a better year than the year I saw, the Dave Matthews Band, whatever year, 2022. And then 2023 comes around and you're like, motherfucker, you just like got better. And then, it's like a chase. Shit, well, what's he going to do now? Or what are they going to do now? And bringing in people. And it's such a fun thing to chase as an adult, because let's be real. Adult life can be kind of the drags sometime, right? Like we got to pay our bills, go to work, be responsible and stay on a schedule and drink water and don't eat this and do that, blah, 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 right? All the rules. But every so often we get to check in to this really cool concert, whether it is on the radio or in real life, but we get to just kind of forget all of our worries for 2 hours and remind ourselves why we should keep going. Because I don't know about you, but I've been to that point where I was like, I don't even fucking care anymore. But the music got me through somehow. And so there is something in those lyrics. And it is amazing that one set of lyrics can do so much for so many different people in so many different ways. And like you said, Gray Street is such an anthem, but in so many different ways. It's like a song of overcoming something, whatever you've overcome or broke free from, broke the chains that held you down. Like that song can be your anthem. And it is for so many people. I love watching Dave when he's singing that, but I love watching the crowd more because you can see those faces of those people that have just been through the shit, right? And just got through to the other side. And it's so apparent just looking at them singing that last third of the third verse, where you're just breaking through the windows and setting fire to this life. And she could be anything, right? She could do whatever she wanted. And so that's such a powerful song. I love it. It's not my favorite song, but no one can not like that song. It's so good. And if you don't like it for yourself, like it for other people. Just look around the room and watch people sing that song. It's like a whole heart thing. But how did one man that many years ago write a song that would span decades of people's feelings? How's that even possible?
Right.
Can't even understand
that. That's what I mean. Like he has a gift like no other musician or songwriter or anyone that I've known. You know what I mean?
No, he writes from the heart. I mean, that's why it relates to so many people, right? I mean,
yeah, I think so. And so many other songs, that he has that people have just found and held on to. And it really did get him through something. And then every time they hear that song, it's just a celebration of whatever you conquered, whatever that was. It's a celebration. And I think that that's what a Dave Matthews Band show is for so many people. It is for me. We're showing up, we're getting our music, we're seeing our friends, but then we're just able to celebrate the fact that we've let go of some shit since the last time we heard Dave Matthews. And so every time I go to a show, I'm here to celebrate the fact that I'm still fucking alive. Thank you, God. And the fact that I made it through all the shit that I had to get here, right? Because everyone's doing this hard ass life and nobody's got it easy anymore. And so thank God for things like the Dave Matthews Band. It's just a beautiful thing. And I say this in every episode, I'm going to need some big time social support groups when this is all over, because I don't really know what I'm going to do with my life or my time or my podcast. It's like, what do I do with my life once this is over? Because it kind of is such a big part of who we are, right? If we've got it hanging in our kitchen and in our bathrooms, it's a big part of who we are.
Right. Absolutely. And how blessed are we to be alive in the time when, I think about that a lot. I'm like, I was only 14 years old when I first heard them, right? Like some people are 54 years old the first time they're hearing it. I'm like, how lucky are we that we got our prime years into adulthood with this band?
Exactly. It's an amazing story. And you're right. People are still finding it. I have a good friend. His name is Randy. And I know that he will see this. So hi, Randy. He lives in Oklahoma and I am bad at guessing ages, and I don't want to do this because I know he's watching. But here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to guess that Randy is around 65. I only say that because I know that he's retired. And so
that's fair.
65. Something like he just found the Dave Matthews Band just a couple of years ago. And once he heard of them, he was all in. He is all over the place, going to the gorge, driving spec, hitting all the big stuff. And he's just so excited to have found this band. So if you are listening to this and you're just like, I don't know anything about what these people are talking to, I only listen to it because somebody told me to listen to it, go check out the Dave Matthews Band. See them before they stop doing this, because it will happen one day. And I don't want to talk about it, but go see them. They're so accessible. The tickets, there's always tickets, right? There's always tickets. So definitely look at their tour dates and try to see them in 2025. We just never know. So what does 2025 look like for you guys? Do you have plans? I honestly can't even remember the schedule right now because we're still a little further out from summer 2025. So what does it look like for you guys?
You want to?
Sure. Let's see. We are taking my mom to her first show at Blossom. So that'll be fun. Like you said, getting new people into it. She's always kind of been on the fringes and heard from us, but maybe this will kick her over the
never
edge.
know. And life will do it.
Right. Our son's going to be in DC on his 8th grade trip, so he won't be at Blossom with us, but he is coming with us to Riverbend. Or no, we're going to Riverbend together.
Okay.
Just the two of us, and maybe her friend Nikki that she mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And let's see. Then David is definitely coming with us to Pine Knob, and then we're going straight from there to Deer Creek.
Oh my goodness, you guys are lucky. Do y'all do Deer Creek pretty often?
Every year.
Oh,
yeah.
Every year.
Oh, yeah.
I love Deer Creek.
It's within 4 hours. We're going.
Times, I think. It is. It's really cool. The corn fields. It's amazing.
Oh, Indiana's beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so different. And that's part of the fun of traveling to see Dave is he will just take you to so many different cool places you probably would have never gone. I mean, who's going to Noblesville, Indiana for anything other than the Dave Matthews Band? I never even heard of Noblesville, Indiana. But I'm so glad I went because it is really unique. The boys love playing there. Mm-hmm. It's a better bang for your buck because it's a 2-night concert every single year. It's going to happen every single year because the boys love it. And honestly, that venue has the best customer service that I've ever seen across the nation. They love the Dave Matthews Band fans, and they're always so excited to have us in town. The Sleepy Bear campsite across the street, they love Dave fans. So it's like the city celebrates when Dave's coming in, and that's probably why they love them so much. But Deer Creek is a really solid one, and it's one of the top 5, I think, when people list like where you should go and all the venues. I think Deer Creek's right there in that top 5 because of all of that. But y'all are lucky. Ohio's a very lucky state.
Charlottesville a couple of years back.
What was that?
We did that in Charlottesville a couple of years back. Our friend that lives in the Deer Creek area had a friend that was going to Charlottesville solo. So we met up with her and pretty much spent the whole weekend with her.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're never alone at a Dave Matthews Band concert. If you'll just let someone know you are alone, believe me, we can hook you up with somebody that's probably from your state. Like we've got a locator. We're like, okay, I know her from there. Like we'll hook you up with the right person. And that's so cool. It comes in handy whether you're just traveling for life, and then you're like, you know what? I've got a Dave Matthews Band friend in that city. We're just going to stop in and have lunch with them. It's so cool to have friends all over the United States, if not in a outside of the States, but all because of a band. It's just, it's amazing what they've done, but they've spent a lot of time doing it, and 30,000 fans or whatever they say they have, we're just going to keep holding on to them until they kick us out and say no more. We're some of the most loyal fans, and that's because that band has been super loyal to its fans. And so again, what a time to be alive while the Dave Matthews Band is still performing. Amanda and Greg, first of all, I want to say thank you for just being open to, spend some of your Saturday night sharing your personal journey with this band, how you found them and why you're still liking them with a bunch of strangers. But just know that these strangers all love your story, and we love the Dave Matthews Band, and we find it really cool how people like different venues and go to different venues and like different songs and what it's got us through. And so thank you so much for being willing to share your story.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
That was fun.
Guys, if you're listening to this on a podcast app, just know that you can watch all of this on YouTube just by simply going to the Space Between podcast on YouTube. And if you are listening to this on a podcast app, please leave a review. It gives you a little chance to put in some words, whatever you're feeling, or you can just pick some stars, 1 to 5. I'd love it if you would give me a 5 or a 4, whatever. But what that does is that pushes out the podcast so that other people can see it. So, this podcast does not work without people coming on to talk about their favorite band, the Dave Matthews Band. So if you're interested in being on the show, all you have to do is just simply send me a message to one of the social medias and I will get you booked. So guys, Amanda, Greg, thank you so much for being on the show. Until the next time, everyone, peace, love, and Dave Matthews Band.
Space, we're filled with time. Space.